Hey up baggers, Bertie Bagger here again. How the devil are we? I hope you've been getting out enjoying those last couple of days of summer and getting those lines wet and nice and tight. Anyway, reason for the video today is a little update and a final bit of advice for the cadets, juniors and youths for this week's up and coming National Junior Celebration match. One of me fellow baggers, Nick Preston, got in touch and said, hang on Bertie, any chance you could just check the rules again for the competition, for the celebration, because what you said in your little tips video isn't quite right. Nick, char very much. Just shows baggers we must make sure we know the rules, so I suggest you double check the rules before you turn up on Saturday morning. Have a quick scan over them Friday night so you know what you can and can't do, and what your parents and helpers can and can't do. So I said in the tips video, fishing the inside line, that it'd be a good idea after half an hour to go out and feed one of your other lines, whether it be on the far bank or down the middle, down the track. Well, you can't, simple as that, okay? So you can't put any feed in to one of them swims past that 3 metre line during that first 90 minutes. I wanted to know why, so I got in touch with good old John Ellis, the National Fisheries and Angling Manager at the Angling Trust. Had some cracking clarification off him. Lovely bloke, love the man after my own heart when it comes to juniors and getting you all into the sport. So clarification was, I asked a question and I thought I already knew the answer to the one question, which was about why the differing lengths of poles for each age group. Quite simply, I'm an health and safety professional myself, so I guessed it was to do with putting strain on the young youths' backs for that amount of time holding a pole. It's, you know, it kills us holding a pole. Anything more than 13 metres for 5 hours in our matches it hurts. So yeah, that's why. As for going over, you can't feed during that 90 minutes. Basically, I think there's 216 of you to date booked on for the Saturday, which is fantastic. And it's all going to be stewarded by the Let's Fish guys, coaches helping out. So basically, to make it easy for them to police, if they see anybody going over that 3 metre line, it's easier for them to assume that you're up to no good and you might be fishing. Okay, so stay within that 3 metre line. Also, it's a levelling up thing, okay, which I totally agree with. So you'll get Joe Bloggs, bless you, whose mum and dad are very well off, which is all good. So they've got him all the tackle, or her all the tackle that they want. Nice long 16 metre pole, etc, etc, which is great. However, little Johnny in his little whip or whatever he was using, rod and reel, that's great. Not all of us can afford a nice banking new tackle and all the gear. I certainly didn't have it when I started off fishing, and it's good because it gets you used to fishing different methods, different rod and reel, poles, whips. That's the best way to learn, and doing your apprenticeship on the canal like I did years ago. So it levels it out, you know. People who might not have all the tackle, at least they're going to get half of the match. If you're in the cadets, 90 minutes, half of the 3 hour session, you're going to be fishing the same as anybody else. You're going to be in that 3 metre section, within that 3 metre length line, and everybody else will be in the same boat. And then once the 90 minutes is up, it's up to you whether you go feeding anywhere else. I think I said in the last tip video that it'll be a brave person who comes off feeding fish at 90 minutes just because they can. So if you're catching fish off that inside line, and little Charlie Beetham last year, who won the cadets, never fished further than that inside line, baggers, and I've won many a match just fishing the inside line, never even looked other swims far across or down the track. If you're catching, stick on them. Fish going in that net is adding to your weight. You know, if somebody's got the long pole or the rod and they decide to go over, that's great, but you're going to be losing time because you've got to build that bait, that swim up from scratch again halfway through the match. Okay, so you're probably better off staying and keep bagging them fish. That's what it's all about, getting the bites, putting fish in your net. So plumbing up, obviously you can't go over and plumb up during that 90 minutes, so make sure you any swims you're planning on fishing during the celebration, you do all the plumbing at the start. So plumb your inside line, your middle track if you're doing that, and your far over. Again, because if the steward sees you putting that long pole out or casting across to the other side during that first 90 minutes, you'll come in and be told off. God forbid, disqualified. We don't want that. That's not what it's all about. Okay, so general advice coming up. It's Wednesday today. Hopefully you've got all your bait sorted. If you needed anything ordering with your tackle shop, because certain tackle shops need you to order some bait. So I've had another message from one of the baggers, Rob. He says, where do I get my squats from? He lives up in Lancashire and they can't get squat for love nor money. Well, I can't answer for anything up in Lancashire. Obviously I'm just lucky that down here in Shropshire, my two local tackle shops, I'm on the border with Shropshire and Staffordshire, so my local two tackle shops have squats in all year round, so I'm lucky. What I'd do if they didn't, I don't know where I'd get them from, to be honest, Rob, so probably be an online search, Getaway Wasp, and have a look that way. So make sure you got all your bait ready. Half a pint of pinkies, half a fluoros or red, I prefer the fluoros, half a pint of squat, little tub of worms. Obviously we're trying to save money, so get digging in the garden, dig some worms up, go around manure heaps. That's what I used to do, get the little red worms, use them, ideal. Ground bait, I've said in the videos before, I use stuff like Census Black, Census Lake, Vandenine Super Cup. Great, go and get yourself a bag of that if you can afford it. If you can't, go and get a loaf of bread, get it in your mum's blender, mix it up into a fine breadcrumb and use the breadcrumb. Perfect for fishing on the canal. Or if you're lazy like me, you can also buy a bag of that, liquidised bread from your tackle shop. Okay, so you got all your bait sorted. What else do you need to check? Check your equipment, make sure you've got everything. Nothing worse than turning up on the bank and realise you left something at home. Okay, some of you will be travelling from afar, so you can't just nip back down the road and get it. You got to make do. So equipment, make sure you got your landing net and your landing pole. Incidentally, that's the first thing you set up when you get to your peg. You put your box down, level your box up if it's on legs, get comfy. First thing you set up, your landing net. Why do you do it, baggers? If you don't already know, it's in case you drop anything in the water while you're setting up. The amount of times I've dropped rig winders, floats, a disgorger, anything like that, dropped it on the water. Quick, get your landing net, fish it out, job's a good one. Okay, next thing you set up, you get your keep net out. So now, before the match, get in the back garden, get in your shed or the garage, check you've got no holes in your keep net. You don't want to go and have a blinding day at the celebration, catch a nice net of fish, go to pull it out when they come round to weigh in and you find out you've got a nice big hole in the bottom of your net and they've all swam away. Heartbreaking. It happened when I was little. It hasn't happened since because I've learned, always check. Okay, what you need for your keep net, you either got a box attachment where it attaches to your legs on your box or your spray bar, great. If not, old school, the proper way, 2 bank sticks on a canal. 1 for the main ring to stake it into the bank, 2 for the tether the end of the net. Why do we need to tether the end of the net? We're on a live canal with narrow boats going up and down, okay? As soon as them boats go past, they put a swell on the water and they can swing the bottom of your net out into the middle of the canal. I've even seen sometimes they get wrapped around the rudders of the narrow boats if they do come in that close, and we don't want that. So make sure you tether both ends of your keep net to the bank. What else do we need? You got your seats, no matter what you're using, whether you got a nice seat box, an old seat box, your granddad's old seat box, an old wicker chair, an old camping chair, whether you're taking your ground bait bucket and turning it upside down and sitting on that, or whether you sit on your net bag or sit on the bank, whatever. Not really necessary, but obviously we want to be comfortable for 3, 4 and 5 hours depending on how long we're fishing. terminal tackle down the business end. So when I say business end, okay, anything you see tackle wise out of the water, so poles, seat boxes, luggage, trolleys, clothing that the angler might be wearing, they might have the best stuff money can buy. That's great, perfect, well done, happy for you. But what really matters is the tackle that you can't see. Anything that's under that water is what's catching you the fish. That's where you want to be spending your effort and your money, on that terminal tackle. So get your lines sorted, make sure you've got your lines ready, you got your rig set up. Simple 010 main line, which is about £1.10, £2 main line, ample amount of strength. Hook lengths and hooks, make sure you've got, you know, varying sizes of hooks from 18, 20 to 22, and different the odd diameter, so you anything down to £1.5 bottom to £1 bottom, perfect, maybe even down to 12 ounces if you're really struggling. Okay, we're not in winter yet, we're in mid-September, so it's still quite warm. We don't want to be going down to size 24 hooks and 6-ounce bottoms. We're not at that stage yet, baggers. Okay, some fish still biting out there and we want to catch them. Don't want to be getting snapped and losing them. Disgorgers, make sure you got a couple of disgorgers. You always end up dropping one in the grass. Try and get a couple with different diameters as well. You can get thick ones, thin ones. Think about what you're going to be catching. You might get the odd bonus fish with nice big mouths on them. You might want something a little thinner to get inside. You know, you can catch a little roach or a gudgeon, will swallow the hook right down, even if it's a size 18, something like that. So make sure you got something that can fit inside and get it out comfortably without damaging the fish. Okay, make sure you got your weights or your stots, whatever you're using to weigh down your rig and your float and dot your float down, varying sizes. Okay, don't leave them behind. And also your plummet, make sure you've got your plummet in there. You got to make sure that you're fishing on the bottom to start with. You're going to be feeding loose bait, loose feed, and where does that go? It goes to the bottom of the canal. So you need to be making sure that your hook bait is on the bottom amongst that loose feed. Okay, a little tip for anybody doing my preferred method with the rod and line, good on you. I like to see the rod and reel being used on the canals and in any venues, to be honest. But a little tip, Friday night before we go have the match, take the spool off your reel, go in the kitchen, nick a mug off your mother, put a spot of washing up liquid in, fill it up with warm water, and then just put your spool in upside down so all the line on the spool's covered by the soapy solution. All that does is make your line sink better, so when you cast out it makes it easier for that line to sink under, so it won't get caught by any wind on the day or any tow of the canal. Okay, just remember to take it with you Saturday morning. Okay, don't leave it in the mug in the kitchen, else you will be up the creek without a paddle. Another vital piece of equipment is your flask of tea. If you've watched any of my videos, baggers, you know you got to have the brew on the go. Okay, simple as that. I won't say any more about that. The rest is just a bit of advice, really. What are we here for? What's it all about? The celebration is what it says on the tin. It's a celebration. You are the next generation of us anglers coming into our wonderful sport. So please, please, please enjoy it. Enjoy everything about it. I can remember my very first match. I can remember my very first National Juniors match down on the Grand Union in Northampton. I was so nervous. But as you get older, you just realise, what was I nervous for? Just get there and enjoy it, what it's all about. Getting your peg, knowing where you're going to be fishing. Asking people, is it any good round here? Getting excited about me peg. Walking down the bank, counting down or counting up the peg numbers until you get closer and closer to your peg. Getting there to your peg, sitting down on your box, having a look around. You've got ages to set up, plenty of time, no need to rush. Enjoy the moment, okay? Sit down on the box, have a look at your swim, take in the wildlife, take in the narrowboaters going past and the walkers, say hello to them, okay? Make sure you're courteous to the other people who use the canal. It's not just ours, We shared it with boaters and walkers and canoeists and kayakers and all sorts of people, okay? We're all each entitled to get up there and use those facilities. They're not just ours, so be courteous to them, and hopefully they'll be courteous back. Have a look, see what your swim looks like, see what you reckon. Try and put your plan together, your plan of attack. So if you've got a nice reed bed or an overhanging tree or bush, anything that looks like it might hold a few fish, think about, shall I put a swim in there? Where shall I have my swims? Okay, we don't have to rush, it's not a race to get ready. It doesn't even matter if you're not ready when the all-in whistle goes, okay? Just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you know if it takes you 4 hours to get ready. Okay, you're going to lose some fishing time, but it's not against the rules. You haven't got to be ready for that whistle. Okay, but try your best to, obviously. Again, I've said about the rules. Make sure you know what you can and can't do, and more importantly, make sure your parents and guardians know what they can and can't do, that they're not stepping in and doing too much for you. Okay, you should be able to put your own feed in the swim, put your bait your own hook, take your own fish off the hook. If you get a little struggle with disgorging, they can help out with that. They can help landing big fish, okay? They can tie your new hooks on if you're struggling. You should be able to put your own rigs on and things like that, okay? Ask the stewards if you're unsure. They will help you out and say what they can and can't do, or they might even be able to help you themselves, okay? Enjoy the fishing, you know. Don't worry about what other people are doing next to you. If 90 minutes comes and then you see everybody start shipping out these fancy poles, and you either A, can't, or you're thinking, oh, I can do that, or shall I do it, or whatever, don't be troubled. Don't be worried about what other people are doing around you. You just fish your own match and enjoy what you're doing, okay? What else was I going to say, baggers? What else was I going to say? Always, number one rule, always keep your eye on your float. I know it's nice to look at the fancy paintwork and the brass on the barges when they go past and say hello. I know it's nice to look behind you and say hello to the walkers and the dogs sniffling in your maggot box. I know it's nice talking to your mum and dad sat next to you, and I know it's nice having a nose to see that fish that your person's bringing in next to you, okay? But don't keep your eye on the float, because the fish know when you're not looking, okay, baggers? They can see you, they can hear you through the bank, they know when you're not looking at that float. So as soon as they know you've taken your eyes off the float, they have a nibble on your hook bait, trust me, okay? And you don't want to be missing bites. You've only got 3 hours if you're in the cadets. It's not a very long time, only 4 in the youths. Make that time count and get as many fish in that net as you can. Enjoy the weigh-in, okay? It's exciting, the weigh-in, especially if you know you've had a good day. Have a look, see what everybody else has been catching around you. Get that, handle the fish nice and safely in the nets. Learn how to get them out of a net properly, keep net, either by pulling your ring through the bottom or gently tipping them down through the rings to the top ring and then into the weighing net, okay? The weighing sling. Look after the fish. And apart from that, enjoy the presentation. If you're lucky enough to get back into the money, make sure you get your mug for catching a gudgeon. If you don't catch a gudgeon on that section of the Shropshire, which I reckon could possibly produce the British record gudgeon out of there, I haven't seen lately what it was, but it's got to be at least over 4 ounces, which is a massive fish for a gudgeon. You've got to be catching a gudgeon, okay? Get your mug, get one prize in the bag straight away, get a gudgeon. You'll get your voucher then for your mug, okay? Anything else after that's a bonus. Remember, catching the fish is the bonus. Go and enjoy the session, go and enjoy the celebration, enjoy the peace and quiet of the canal and the scenery, and if you catch anything on top, it's a bonus. I might be down there, I might be able to get a chance to pop down and see some of you, walk up and down. I'll probably have my white Bertie Bagger t-shirt on, so you might be able to see me. You'll see me marked up Bertie Bagger van, little white van. Come and say hello. Any help I can give, great, I'll try and dish some out, no problem. If not, enjoy yourself, catch plenty of fish, come on after the match celebration, let me know how you've got on. I'm keen to hear how you got on and how you enjoyed it. Anything you'd like to see improved as well, I can pass their messages on to John Ellis and Simon Mottram. No problem whatsoever. Come and let me know. Enjoy yourselves, baggers. Tight lines.